Alright, so this is Alienware's new laptop design. They have the R5 if you configure it with AMD components, and it's called the R6 if you configure it with Intel components. But the two products are exactly the same in terms of the aesthetic and the design. It is a brand new chassis. If you compare it to the R4, there's a lot of changes. They've revamped the whole thing. Some of those changes are things that we've been asking for, like we've wanted certain features and they've added it, but some of those changes were questionable. And as I looked at this thing and I was trying to go through the review process of it, I was trying to figure out why, and I think it kind of made sense. Let's start off with the aesthetic. So it only comes in this dark gray color. It's a nice color. I think it's better than just a plain black gaming laptop. But last year's model, the R4, and just the past few years of Alienware laptops offered this nice white color, which I thought looked really cool. Even if you didn't like this particular color, the fact that they offer it, like the fact that they care enough about their user base and try to offer something that just sticks out and stands out in the sea of gaming laptops, this was special. But they've removed this color option for the R5 and R6 in 2021. And I don't know how I feel about that because it was something that really made the Alienware devices unique. Now, in terms of the weight and thickness of the new R5, it's a little bit thicker, barely noticeable, but the weight is about 100 grams heavier compared to R4. And that is something that I think most people will notice if they're comparing the two. It's still a reasonably portable device, but in general, I feel like the R5 chassis has had a lot of kind of bonus features stripped away from what made Alienware devices Alienware. So it's gotten rid of the graphics import. It's not something that I ever used, but it was available for people that wanted it. And they got rid of the mini display port, they got rid of the micro SD slot that used to be on the side, and even the RGB trim on the back. It's ever so slightly smaller than last year's model. So this visual trim here is a little bit narrower than what was on the R4, and just visually it's less prominent and less kind of vibrant in the color. Is it a big deal? Not at all, but it just feels weird for Alienware to take away these things that made their M series what they were. Now, at first, all these deficiencies or these kind of removals of features made me go, why? Like, why are they doing this? But then it just snapped my head. I realized this is no longer their king flagship product. Like for years, the M products, the M15, M17, have been their best of the best, their flagship Alienware product. But now there's the X series, and that's supposed to be their best of the best. So this product line, the M series, it kind of has to be squashed down a little bit, not just in terms of price and configuration, but also in terms of aesthetics. It can't look amazing because the X has to look the best, and it just has to fit into the whole product hierarchy, which is unfortunate, but that's just business, right? Now, if you picked up an R4 from last year, I think you're good. I think I think it actually looks better in my personal opinion, but that's subjective. But the R5 does have a couple noticeable advantages on the inside. So the first thing, this is a feature we've been looking for years. It now finally has, once again, removable RAM. For the past few years, we've had Alienware laptops that have had baked-on RAM, baked-on Wi-Fi cards, and now they're both replaceable and or upgradable, which is great to see. There's two NVMe bays. The drive they include is a short one, but here's a weird thing. In order to use the larger size, like a 2280, you need to remove the bracket that's underneath the small one. And I've never seen anything like this. Like, it's a proprietary bracket. It's not the biggest pain in the world to do, but if you do want to run a second drive, you now have to seemingly order this bracket from Dell or get them to send you one because it's not included in the package and there's no bracket thing on the second side, which is strange to me. It seems really weird, especially on a gaming laptop where people are just putting in drives pretty frequently. But that's Alienware. So battery down here, just real quickly, it's 86 watt hours. It's the same size as last year's model. Battery life is slightly better. I'm not sure if it's just the Ryzen version, but I got just under 5 hours. Last year's model, I think I got like 4.5 of my regular runtime. But yeah, speakers. This is another downgrade I didn't mention. On the R4 last year, they had a front firing speaker in addition to their down firing. And it was actually not a huge difference, but significant enough that if you were playing games without headphones, the treble was just audible between those, in those front firing speakers, just to help with positional audio, right? They removed it, and it seems nonsensical. Why would you remove a feature that you just added in for 1 year? But the new X series, that has front firing speakers, so maybe they're trying to do that whole product tier separation thing. The cooling system. So last year's model had a vapor chamber. This no longer does. The vapor chamber was only on the GPU last year, not on both CPU and GPU. They're just running heat pipes this year, but you'll see in a second that thermally it's still decent. You know what, let's just get into it right now. So performance-wise, we are looking at, in this system with Ryzen 5000 CPU as well as an RTX 3060 or an RTX 3070. They do not offer the RTX 3080 in the AMD system. Strange, like I don't know if it's a supply chain thing or if it's because there's some kind of brand relationship going on, but we'll never know. They do not offer the 3080 in the AMD Ryzen version as of right now. But in terms of performance, it's good. The frame rates are fast and the fan noise is as you'd expect on an Alienware device. Nothing crazy loud, but there's two things that are mildly concerning. Number one, the temperatures are warmer than I'd like to see. It doesn't throttle, it's not even close to it, but you can cool it better in other systems. The competition has lower temperatures than this. The other thing though is the GPU wattage. So this has a peak wattage of 125 watts on the RTX 3070. On last year's model, it was brought up to 140 watts. You just get slightly better performance. It's nothing crazy, right? It's not like double the frame rates, but it is noticeable. In benchmarks, and I think for certain games, you will notice it. But it's strange to me that they launched with a lower wattage. Now, it's Alienware. In the past, they've kind of given an update down the line, right? You can flash the VBIOS and now you have unlocked 140 watts on your RTX 3070. They've done it before in the past and I wouldn't be surprised if they do it again, but it's strange to me that they launched like this. Like, again, is it just to make that X series look better? I don't know, but it feels weird to me. And I think a lot of people feel the same way about that wattage difference. Inside we have a keyboard that's had a slight change in tactility and feel. It's a little softer to type on than the R4. And there is a row of media keys on the right, which I personally like that stuff. I like to be able to control my volume physically. And there's also a change in the shift key. I use the right shift often, even though this is a little bit shorter, it's still a very comfortable shift key to me. I think if you've liked Alienware keyboards in the past, and I think they're really easy to like, you'll like this one as well, even with the changes. There is a mechanical keyboard option. I've done a video on it, I'll link it down below. The trackpad, however, sucks. Straight up sucks. I do not like it. The R4 had a better trackpad to me. It had a smoother surface, it was like nicer to click on, and also the tap mechanic. Not the click, but the actual tap. Like, if you tap on the R5, it's got this, I don't know, it's audible, right? When you're tapping on it, it has this click. When you tap on the R4, like there's no sound, for one, and also the texture is nicer, and also the click is just precise, nice and tight, versus, I don't know, maybe the mic can't pick it up, but the R5 has a noticeably worse trackpad to me than the R4. Okay, the screen. So this is a better screen than what was offered in the R4. It's brighter, it's faster, it's got a better gaming and viewing experience, and they got rid of the plastic bezel, the shiny trim that they used to have. I was never a fan of it, and it's now just a simple matte black. But the screen is better, but the overall product, if I had to kind of give this a kind of overall thought, the past Alienware products, like the M series, have always been, it's a product line that when I get the devices in, I have an expectation. I expect them to run a little bit warmer than the competition, but at the same time, I expect them to have better frame rates and higher numbers than the competition, because that's what Alienware has always done in the past. They don't care too much about temperatures, they focus on performance. They want the best possible frame rate, the best possible benchmarks, and they deliver that in the past. This year, because they have a reduced GPU wattage, it's strange, it's not very on brand for Alienware, but the bigger thing is like, the competition is different. The competition is tougher now. There's brands out there like Lenovo's, Legion products that deliver an experience that is akin to this, and there's RGB lights, they got a lot of stuff going on, but they're also delivering high wattage and what I would say is a better overall experience for the game. I will say though, that the aesthetic of this is still very unique, and I like the look of this. I like the aesthetics of this more than I like the aesthetics of Lenovo products, but that's a very subjective thing. Whether or not you like the product because of the aesthetics or the performance is entirely up to you, but I would say that this year, the R5 and most likely the R6 is a harder device to recommend given the landscape of gaming laptops right now. But if you like the way that it looks, you like the way that it looks, and there's only one guy that makes an Alienware that looks like this. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. I'll see you guys next time.